Soybean, an inconspicuous beans that we don't really see so often in the Western diet, is somehow mainly grown here in the US. Even though we don't see it much on our dining table, soybean actually cover a wide range of commercial and food products in the world. It single-handedly covers all types of products from staple food source, plant-based milk, condiment, oil, livestock feeds, and fertilizer. They're even used in industrial raw material like soy-based plastic, leather, and more. And today we're gonna talk all about this incredible crop. Starting with the basic knowledge of soybeans, the different color soybean and their usage, a little bit of history of how the soybean evolved into different products and spread around the world, and of course the nutritional profile and health benefit when we eat them. And at the end of the video, I'll be sharing some very common soybean products that you can easily find in the market and add into your diet, and also what to look out for while consuming soybeans. So without further ado, let's dive right in, shall we? Hey new friend, this is Erica right here. I'm a tiny citizen currently living in America. Cooking and traveling are my passion, so I'm here to share with you my favorite Asian recipes. I make kitchen trivia and interesting ingredient explained, as well as some simple recipe that I love on this channel. So if that interests you, please subscribe and keep watching. Glycine max, aka soybeans, are a type of legume native to China. Soybean is known as a miracle crop for its adaptability to survive in different climates and the flexibility of its usage in the food and other industries. Soybean is one of the main components of Asian diets and have been eaten by us for thousands of years. In Asia, we not only eat it in whole, but also sprouted, fermented, milked, processed into oil, tofu, miso, and of course soy sauce that we talked about before. Today, soybean is also used to make biodegradable plastic, rubber, shampoo, makeup, cleaning products, and thousands of other consumer goods. Soybean itself contributes to $124 billion to the US economic in 2022 alone, and it is projected to reach $259 billion by 2030s. Now, when it comes to different color of soybeans, the soybean seed coat can vary in color by the genetic of the seed, the environment where they were grown, or sometimes through infection by disease-causing organisms. But if you're not a farmer, you just walk into the grocery store, there are three main colors you'll see in there, which are yellow, black, and green soybeans. Let's look at them one by one. The yellow soybean is the most common type in terms of production quantity and varieties. The producer will categorize them in sizes and keep the big one to sell it in whole, while the medium and small size yellow soybean will be used in the soy productions. Now, black soybeans and black bean are completely different things. The black soybeans are commonly used to make the Japanese sweet soybeans, and you can also see it in the special black soybean Taiwanese soy sauce we talked about in the soy sauce video before. Other than that, you can also see it in the traditional Chinese medicine as well. Now, green soybean, you've definitely seen it before, but you probably didn't know that it is green soybeans because green soybeans is actually edamame. Edamame is actually whole immature soybean that they are harvested before it is ripened or hardened. And it is often referred to the vegetable type soybeans. When it comes to edamame, I bet you know 100 ways of cooking it, so I don't need to detail it here. But in Japan, they also like to use the green soybeans to make the roasted soybean flour, as it contains less fat than the yellow or black soybeans and have a sweeter taste. Now, I mentioned in the beginning how soybean is mainly grown in the US today, but don't you wonder why a Chinese origin crop that is mainly used in Asian cuisine are somehow grown in the US but not Asia? That we'll have to look at the history of soybean and how it spread around the world. The earliest documented wild soybean can be dated back to about 8,000 years ago in China, and it only became extremely popular during the war era around 400 BC. Not only because it is a cheaper protein source than meat, but it is also easy to grow and can somehow replenish the overcultivated land. Even during the natural disaster years, its production is still relatively stable compared to other popular crops at the time like millet. Now, getting to around 200 BC, a significant invention of food preservation technique called jiang was invented. People realized by mixing meat, seafood, vegetable, or grains with salt and let it ferment can significantly longer the life of the food. And the jiang that is made by boiling, mashing, and fermenting soybean become very popular. This fermentating process not only makes the soybean taste even better, it also creates a lot of liquid in the process, and after filtration comes the origin of soy sauce. Around the same time, people started to realize that eating too much soybean can cause bloating, so after the war kind of slowed down, the production of the other crops and grains slowly take over the soybean. Until one day that the magical stone meal was invented. Soon after, the Chinese discovered that if you soak, grind, and boil the liquid of soybean, it not only makes it taste less astringent, but can also reduce the bloating syndrome of eating whole soybeans. Combining with other techniques like boiling, drying, and fermenting, products like bean curd, dry tofu, tofu cheese started to come out. Between the 3rd and 7th century, these products started to spread into the East Asia like Korea and Japan, and that's basically the predecessors of Korean doenjang and Japanese miso. Now, besides tofu and soy sauce, another soy product that basically changed the whole game of soy production in the world is soybean oil. The mass production of soy oil first appeared in China during the 13th and 14th century, but due to the poor refining technique at the time, soy oil is primarily used as fuel, like lamp oil. While it wasn't edible then, the byproduct of soybean oil extraction, known as soybean meal, are often used as livestock feed and fertilizer. Moving to the 19th century, soybean production are still mainly in China and haven't been spread to the West at all yet. It wasn't until 1863 that China started to export their soybeans for economic needs. And 10 years later, soybean appears at the Vienna World's Fair. They translate their ancient Chinese name shu to soy, which is how they got the name soybeans that we use today. The European at the time may not even see the significant role soybean will play in the future. In 1914, the demand of oil greatly increased due to the outbreak of World War I. That itself makes soybean oil usage expanded beyond lamp oil to things like soap, paint, candle, and even bombs. The food shortage during the war makes soybean meal a vital resource, and it was even added into bread to increase the protein content. Plant-based butter made from soy oil also emerged due to the high price of milk, making the staple food more affordable. And after World War I ended, a German scientist invented the first oil hydrogenation system that doubling the soy oil extraction rate from 40 to 90%. And this invention makes soybean even more desirable in the international market, with China definitely capitalized on this demand and becomes the world's biggest exporter of soybean. The exponential growth of soybean demand quickly caught the eyes of the US in the early 20th century. As a result, Americans sent a group of researchers to China to learn how to properly grow soybean. And by 1954, the United States already know how to grow soybean better than the Chinese does, and become the world's largest soybean exporter with the most advanced soybean cultivation and processing technology. In the early 2000s, we all know that China entered a rapid development period. With the increasing demand for other crops and urbanization, China starts importing large amounts of soybean abroad, transition from the birthplace of soybeans to the world's largest importers. And today, thanks to the continuous development of technology, soy-based chemical market has become a $24 billion industry due to a research in 2022, which includes things like soy wax, industrial soy oil, as well as a renewable soy-based plastic that was invented by an American scientist in the early 1940s. Soybean is one of the most healthy plant-based protein that we know of today. It contains 36 to 56% of soy protein, as well as about 18% fat and relatively lower amount of carbohydrates compared to other grains, which make it a low GI food. That means that say if you eat tofu at noon, you will have a lighter afternoon crash than other grains. It can help you lose weight or keep a healthy weight. It is also a recommended diet for people with diabetes. Soybeans are also a great source of vitamin A, B, and C, as well as minerals such as phosphorus, calcium, and iron. Additionally, soybean also contains a few unique nutrients worth discussing, which are soy isoflavones, oligosaccharides, and phytic acid. Again, let's look at them one by one. Soybean contains a higher amount of isoflavone compared to other common foods. It functions similar to estrogen, which can elevate common issues in postmenopausal women. For instance, it can help prevent osteoporosis and degenerative arthritis. Soy isoflavone can also improve blood circulation, lower cholesterol level, and prevent cardiovascular diseases. Acting as an antioxidant, it can minimize the damage caused by the free radical to our body, which potentially has the ability to reduce the risk of breast cancer, although more research is needed in the future. Now, oligosaccharides is a type of carbohydrate, but the healthy type. Oligosaccharides can promote the proliferation of beneficial bacteria in our guts, improves both constipation and diarrhea, and potentially help in the prevention of colorectal cancer. However, oligosaccharides cannot be broken down by our gastric juice in our stomachs, which can cause bloating. That's why people tend to fart after eating a lot of tofu. Therefore, while we're preparing soybeans, we often aim to reducing their oligosaccharides content as much as we can. Soaking, sprouting, and fermentation all helps reducing the oligosaccharides content in our soybeans. Or there's also another choice of just eating edamame instead, because edamame in general have lower oligosaccharide content than the matured soybeans. Phytic acid is a natural substance that exists in all plant seeds. It serves as a primary form of phosphorus storage. And soybean is considered a pretty large seed, so it contains a significant amount of phytic acid. Phytic acid is a helpful plant compound with an antioxidant property that can potentially prevent colon cancer. However, it can also hinder the absorption of zinc, iron, calcium, and some other minerals. Now, this effect only applies with the same meal which it is consumed, but not the entire day absorption. For instance, eating nuts between meals may decrease the absorption of the nutrient from these nuts, but it won't impact your main meal in a few hours. So again, this shouldn't be your concern as long as you have a healthy body and a balanced diet. Today, there are so many soybean products in the market, so here I created a guide for you of a few popular items. First of all, tofu is a great source of nutrients because it contains a whole soybean, allowing you to absorb all of its nutrients. And instead of drinking the skimmed milk or non-fat milks, might as well replace it with soy milk. It is not only cheaper, but also very easy to make at home. If purchasing from a store, I'll definitely offer an unsweetened version to avoid consuming too much added sugar. Now, if you want the nutrient of soybeans but are concerned about the calories, bean sprout is the way to go. Bean sprouts contain 95% water, have most of the nutrient from soybeans, and are rich in dietary fiber that does not cause bloating. And when it comes to the fermented option, Japanese miso, natto, as well as traditionally brewed soy sauce are all great options. Lastly, plant-based meat are also a great way to consume soy. Impossible beef and tempeh are both excellent choices. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching to the end, and if you find this information useful for you, don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. And if you want to start eating tofu today, here's a video that I talk about different types of tofu that you've probably never seen it before. And if you want to learn more about miso, we also have a video here for you. See you next time. Bye!